Welcome back. It's RGR Football, and we're having a good time watching Thursday Night Football. We're going to talk about these Chiefs and Jets as they get ready to collide on the early game on Sunday. This is Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing well. You know, Thursday Night Footballs is what it is at this point, and when you don't go for it on 4th and inches inside the 5-yard line, then I pretty much lose interest.
Yeah, it'll do it to you every time. You got to be bold, right? Got to be bold.
When you're 1-6, I mean, you got to do something.
What do you got left? Yeah, it's really interesting, folks, and there's a lot that we can glean from this team. That the Chiefs are going to play in the Jets, and there's a lot that we can say, hey, we're not sure if we're going to get a good look there. But either way, we're going to go through it all today. Now for us, soon for you. If you're not used to this channel yet, we go back and forth in a lot of different ways, a lot of film, a lot of breakdowns, a lot of stats. So if you want, go ahead and click that stuff right now. Hit the like and the sub and the bell notification so you know when something new goes up. And you got to turn that on your phones too. Click that all notifications thing that I always forget to put on myself, but hopefully you won't, because we're going to go through it. We'll have post game for you like we usually do. We'll have the Q&A on Monday nights, and then we get into all the stats breakdown and then film that you've seen the last 2 days from us in various aspects of breaking it down. I want to start there, Dan, because I think we could take a couple of things that we saw last week and try to project them forward, because I think this is, at the end of the day, the best opportunity the Chiefs have to take what they need to work on and actually work on it.
Yeah, and for my film review of my offensive one, we talked about some of the issues that Vic Fangio brought into the empty protections. If you're going to blitz 6 guys on empty protections, someone's coming free. So the offense needs to work on either bringing a running back in like Le'Veon Bell to have him block, attach a tight end to the end of any formation just to chip or pick up a block as needed, or you get the ball out quicker. You identify with your receivers, your running backs, where the ball is going to need to be go. Patrick needs to identify the blitz a little bit better than he did in the game against the Broncos, and then distribute it accordingly. They just didn't seem to feel the pressure or see the blitzes coming on 3rd down, which is why they went 0 for 8 in that game. So they need to work on that a little bit. And, you know, we've talked about this team is kind of in cruise control right now. They're not exactly in a very difficult stretch. They don't have to really work that hard to win games, but eventually, if you don't get some of these things figured out, when you play the good teams like the Buccaneers, they will come back to bite you.
Yeah, and I agree with you. They need to get some of that sorted out. I come back to the idea for me is that it's not that Patrick couldn't identify. I just don't think he cared. I think he felt he can either avoid the rush or he can strong arm the ball out in a way that he didn't have to really deal with it. And I think if Patrick, if you were watching or anyone around Patrick is watching, just take the easy road and take care of yourself. Because the thing that drove me nuts that I just can't handle this week is if he continues to get hit for no necessary reason. So I'm glad you're with me.
7 QB hits. Can't have that in games that don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason to do it. And it also falls on Andy a little bit too. I mean, on some of those plays, you want to see him get some quicker breaking routes underneath so that he has something else to throw hot to instead of waiting for the back to get his head around.
Yeah, and you know, that's just going to be how it is. They don't like to do a lot of drag routes, especially, but that first one was on 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4. Like you have to have some of it there. You can't rely on a running back going to the flat to be your go-to if someone blitzes is free. Like they gotta do a little bit better job of taking some of those underneath routes and using space when it's there. I saw a couple times on the film, like you have clear out routes and then Travis Kelce kind of sitting in the middle, but he's not working either way. So what's going on with that? Like it's a little bit odd. So I just want to see them click. I don't care how many points they put up necessarily in terms of 30, 40 points. I just want to see the offense kind of go down the field, score, and then get off the field. Second half, bring in the backups. I don't care. I do not care. Just click.
So you're counting on self-control is what you're saying, because I think this might be 50.
You know, okay, so if you have Le'Veon Bell in the backfield all game, yeah, it might be 50.
Well, and it also depends how many times they hand it to him, because one thing is it is significantly going to eat the time of possession if you're going to dedicate yourself to the run more. And we all know it's going to cut things down, and that's okay. You don't have to score every possession. I'd like to see it better than what they've been running in that 54 to 58% mark. But I think Le'Veon is the guy that we were talking about in terms of getting his head around on that one pass. But it's also a guy that I think going back to his old team, trying to get some carries, like they might just settle down and let him run. Do you think that's what actually happens?
So I still think they're going to work both of them in early. Like I expect Clyde to get the bulk of the carries early, but say they go up by 3 touchdowns, 2-3 touchdowns, I would imagine they take Clyde out of the game and just let Le'Veon Bell loose. Like I don't expect, if I guess like I just mentioned, if they're up by a lot going into halftime, I don't expect most of the starters to play the rest of the game on offense. Maybe you get some more guys like Willie Gay experience on defense, but this is a game against an 0-17 team. And unless you play like the Bills did last week, where you don't show up for the first 3 quarters of the game, you're probably okay just getting your starters out when you're up, knowing that there's no point in risking injury in a game that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see Chad Henne get some significant throws under his belt, quite frankly, because you always want your backup to have some reps, and he hasn't really had to.
In 2 years.
Right? That said, I would actually do the opposite if I were Andy Reid. I'd put Le'Veon all over the front 15 and let him have his touches early, because I think that'll key up the defense a little bit on their side. They'll make some extra mistakes, and then you can kind of take it easy. You don't have to pound the rock with Clyde. And I would prefer to give Clyde a little extra time off, to tell you the truth. But I think this is an excellent opportunity for Byron Pringle. I think this is a great game for Dion Yelder. I think these guys have some opportunities there. And that's not to say anything overly negative about the Jets. We're negative because their record has earned that negativity. But they do have some strong points. They have Quinnen Williams. Their defense is not much lower ranked than the Chiefs is. They're currently sitting at 20 according to PFF, and a little bit lower in DVOA, but that's definitely the strength of this roster. But they can't seem to decide if they want to keep Quinnen Williams. They can't seem to decide how they're going to attack him. They have a couple of other guys. One that I keep an eye on is Jordan Jenkins, who I think can provide some pass rush too. So you can't go into this game feeling like it's a gimme. You got to do your job, and you got to be, I think, sharp still.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen from the Chiefs in their pressers all week. And I know a lot of people are kind of giving them crap because they're acting professional as they should, and you don't want to see them come in there and just kind of like slouching about and taking things easy because it's the Jets. You need to have that mentality regardless of who you're playing, because this is still the NFL, and I understand that Adam Gase is the head coach of the Jets, and they have injuries for now, which we could talk about at length, really.
But I'm sorry, Jets fans.
I really am. I feel bad. Destroyed the guy that I thought was going to be a decent quarterback in the NFL.
It's not over yet. I still have faith.
I do too. Just need to get him in the right spot.
Yeah.
Because he's probably mentally damaged in the terms of learning the NFL game. So they have some. I personally was very high on Denzel Mims coming out. I thought he looked pretty well in his first game last week. You got to get a thing with Sam Darnold still. So you have to respect some of the playmakers. The defense is still pretty good, and you can never underestimate a guy like Greg Williams, who could just throw the house at Patrick Mahomes, try and get him hurt, because that just seems like something he would just like to do, and I don't like that.
And that's my biggest fears, because Greg Williams, honestly, is a guy that does not care. No. Never has, never will. He's never going to change his stripes. They're going to get mean. They're going to get nasty, and they're going to get late. They're going to play dirty ball, because that's what Greg Williams does. And that's more, to me, I'd rather see them keep double tights and keep it back in. I don't care. Protect Patrick at all costs, because you can't let a guy like Greg Williams running a defense that's 0-7 derail a Super Bowl season.
Yeah. And that might also be why they're kind of on their game right now, is because they know that Greg Williams does not care. He'll throw the kitchen sink at a good team to try to do anything he can to kind of derail their season. We saw it when he was with the Saints, trying to get that stuff figured out. So that aspect worries me, just because you never know what's going to happen with him. And that's why I would be leaning towards taking Patrick and some of these other players out if they go up by multiple touchdowns in the first half. Then just don't even worry about it. Just let the rest play it out in the second. So, I mean, that, I guess, like we talked about, that worries me, but I still think that they've got more than enough ability to handle on offense this team in the first half and just kind of ease their way into it.
Yeah. One wild card I'll throw out there is Jamison Crowder might be back. He might not. You can never tell if he's going to play or not. But if he does, he has the kind of athletic ability that can give the Chiefs some problems in terms of being able to separate and then accelerate as well. So I'd like to see that. Maybe that means that they can get some Bo Peep Keys. He played a few snaps last week.
Yeah.
Might be an opportunity for him to get in and move some guys around in and out of the slot. At the end of the day, I just can't see them being able to keep up, though.
No, I don't either. I mean, I expect to have a couple splash plays. If they've got Crowder and Mims playing, I think that they should be able to find them a couple times. But I mean, we're talking about the Jets again, and I know that we just talked about giving them, trying not to laugh at them. It's hard when Adam Gase is just there, and the way that he handled Mekhi Becton earlier in the season, not taking him out of that game again. That I forget who it was against, but his shoulder was hurt, like he was letting himself go off. You can't do that with your first round draft pick. You can't do that with these kind of players. So I don't respect the fact that he's not really caring about what he's doing to that offense and these players. And that actually makes me mad. Like I feel so bad for Jets fans. I feel so bad for the players on the Jets organization. And the fact that you have to go to work for a coach that doesn't seem to care about you really kind of irks me. So I would love to see them put up 50 and just get them fired after this game. Just do it.
I mean, and for the sake of those players on that roster as well, I agree with you. And, a couple of ways that can happen is allowing all kinds of defensive pressure. And Chris Jones has a fabulous matchup with the left guard and center, who happens to be Connor McGovern, who used to be in Denver, folks. So Chris knows him pretty well. And I expect a game out of him. Quite frankly, I expect a game out of Juan Thornhill, because I think there are going to be some balls that Darnold has to put in the air as kind of gimmies, especially to Mims. And I like Thornhill coming over there, but those guys are starters. So let's take a look a little bit deeper about who some of the guys who need some reps that could get them. Willie Gay's obviously at the top of the list. He played 51% of the snaps last week. If you guys missed my film breakdown on him specifically, that came out a day or two ago. And I think it shows you that it's certainly not a complete evolution, but that he's making progress, and more reps will only help him. Who is at the top of your list beyond Willie?
I'm assuming he comes back this week. He was just activated off of IR. Mike Dana is going to be a welcome sight for that defensive end group. He was playing so well prior to his injury, got a couple sacks. Now we're going to hopefully get to see him in extended playing time if he's at full health. And I don't know if I don't know the status of him personally, but I do know that if he's ready to go, he should be getting a good number of snaps at the edge position this week, especially because we all know that they love to rotate guys in and out. And with the way that guys like K-Pass and Damona Harris struggled last week in setting the edge, that's something that Mike Dana doesn't really struggle doing. He's a very good physical defender, much like his Michigan counterparts, Taco Charlton and Frank Clark. So he's got to be, at least for me, up there on that list of guys that had the opportunity to earn quite a bit more snaps, especially if he's ready to go at full 100%.
Yeah. I didn't want to steal him from you, so
I appreciate that.
Now, without LJ getting back, I want to see Bo Pete out there, but quite frankly, I want to see Armani Watts is hurt this week, folks. I don't think he's going to be available. I want to see Tedrick Thompson, who's gotten sprinkled in here and there. I want to see him have a half or a quarter where he can just really be the man deep and let Juan get off the field a little bit and just be able to do something in case you want to get crazy with it and cross things up with Juan coming down with a robber at some point, or just something strange. I feel like Tedrick's got an opportunity here, I think, playing in this system to really take his personal play level up quite a bit, and that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I thought I don't remember exactly the game where he played quite a bit, and he was really quite good. He was all over the field coming down, blitzing and doing a lot of things that I didn't expect him to be able to do. So this defense definitely fits what he's known to do very well. He's got speed, he's got athleticism, he's got that range. So yeah, that would be really nice to see. And Steve Spagnuolo loves to screw with other quarterbacks' minds and their eyes. And unfortunately for Sam Darnold, he did have that game against the Patriots where he said, I was seeing ghosts out there, so I expect Steve Spagnuolo to kind of screw with his eyes a little bit, just like he did with Drew Lock last week, and he's not going to have a clue where the blitz is coming from, if it's coming, what they're dropping into. It's a lot of fun watching this defense, and Steve Spagnuolo has done such a great job transforming what they were 2 years ago into this entire evolution of a defense. It's been really quite impressive, and it just seems to go unnoticed. And we talk about them being better and a part of a Super Bowl winning team, but we don't really talk about the transformation of what it was under Bob Sutton's last few years to what it is now. And that's definitely been part of the reason why they are defending Super Bowl champions and wanting to go back to back. So he's been such a great addition. The coaching staff underneath him has trained guys up, and it really speaks volumes to what they've been able to do with guys like K-Pass, who didn't have much training coming in. It felt like he never really understood the position. He comes in last year, and now he's starting to play better. Still has some things he's got to figure out, but they've done such a great job. So this is a game that they can just kind of test some things out, some new looks if he wants to get them in there, and see what's going to happen.
I'm with you. New looks all the way around. I want to see him get a little bit of funky out there so they can play with some things, because you're right. Not only has Spags done a great job, I mean, they're averaging less than 18 points allowed per game. And I don't know where they are in the rankings. This season's pretty high scoring, so I'm guessing they're pretty solidly up there. But you bring up a very good point. They have the ability to really dig down the depth chart, but that also puts stress on the coaching staff too. And I think you have two guys in the back of the defense in terms of the staff that can be coordinators at some point. I know Dave Merritt has. I think Sam Madison can. But I also want to point out that you have two guys in Brendan Daly and Matt House that I think are destined to be coordinators and more, probably head coaches in the future. Let them turn it loose is what I want.
Yeah, this coaching staff's got a lot of up-and-coming, soon-to-be coordinators, soon-to-be head coaches. Like, they've done such a great job. And I've seen some things around Twitter that Steve Spagnuolo could be looking at another head coaching position depending on how this season ends up for him. So he's done really well transforming this defense, and I would not be surprised if he leveraged it into, especially they went back-to-back, if they leveraged it into another head coaching job. So, just recognize he's done a great job, and he could definitely be looking at one just like Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, and that's fair. And honestly, Steve's not the youngest chicken out there either. No. So you get a chance to forge yourself another HC job, go for it. My only problem is you can't take Brennan or Matt with you, okay?
I know.
Because one of them has to become the coordinator here, and you need the next one to be in the pipeline. Honestly, it should get to the point where the defensive side mirrors the offensive side. This is likely the Chiefs' last season with Eric Bieniemy. You got to have the next guy coming up. It's likely Kafka at this point, is what I thought, but you never know. You need to have guys all over the place. And to that end, I think that this really gives you a clue as to just what the synergy is for Eric and Andy Reid. And I would like to see, and I don't know that we'll see this on the broadcast, but I would like to see this become more of a, hey, you call the plays and I'll give you my input, instead of Andy saying, give me your input and we'll just make a decision. You know what I mean? I want to see Eric get the reins a little bit more in a contest like this.
I would, but at the same time, I don't know if Andy's ever done that. I know that they said that Matt Nagy did that a few years ago, but we don't really know if he did or not. And by the looks of it in Chicago right now, I don't think he did. They're having some issues over there. So I don't know if Andy's the type to let go. I know that he and Eric have a much different relationship than a lot of his offensive coordinators in the past, but I would love it. I'm not entirely sure if Andy's that kind of guy. Maybe at halftime he's like, yeah, get Chad Henne out there, do what you got to do. But
yeah, I'll get a cheeseburger me over here.
Yeah, I'll just go back I won't even come out in the halftime. I'll just stay back in the locker room.
On that offensive side, I think Pringle's obviously a big step up. Depending on if we see Marcus Kemp come up, I'd like to see him get a few offensive reps as well.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I think he flashed pretty well in preseason a year and a half ago or whatnot. And he's got, that size. They don't use size well. They don't know how. I'm going to be frustrated about it until the end of time. And it's just never going to make sense to me.
Hey, Chris Conley caught a jump ball the other day.
I know he did. He catches jump balls in Jacksonville when he is not dropping them. So the frustrating things about Andy Reid are just offset by the fact that he's such a great guy. And I really wish they would just throw it up to some of these guys sometimes, because it would help their red zone numbers. It really would. Let Patrick call plays at the line.
Oh, that's
what I want to see.
4-man protections, everyone in a route.
That's pretty much what it would be. He would just start throwing up to people. I don't have any doubts that he's that kind of guy that takes chances like that and throws high pointing balls. That's why I kind of got a tiny bit excited about Kelvin Benjamin, only because he brings that, not because he's the fit of, physical peak or whatnot, but he can go get a ball. Like, that's the only reason you bring him on.
One thing he does.
Yeah, that's it. He made his career in Carolina just off going to get the ball. So, yeah, I mean, I get frustrated about it, but at the same time, they're number 1 rated offense according to DVOA, and we're talking about how they've struggled mostly this year. So it's kind of ridiculous, and they're going to continue to put up points. And I don't expect anything less in this game against a Jets defense who is much better than I think people give it credit for, just because it's part of the Jets organization.
Yeah. Well, that said, expectations away, how do you see this going down?
Yeah, I feel bad for Sam Darnold, because I'm thinking he throws like 4 picks in this game, and they might get a couple backdoor touchdowns, but like, this is going to be a 45-14 game. Like, it's not going to be close. And that 19.5 spread is just kind of ridiculous. Let's be real.
It's kind of out there. And for me, like, I think that Andy takes his foot off. 19 is crazy. So yeah. I'm going to keep it right about there. I'll say 38-17, but it is going to be, I think, pretty lopsided. So folks, let us know what you think. Put your prediction down in the comments. Let us know how those numbers stack up for you. We'll be back here post-game. We'll have our normal live stream. You can jump on there, and we'll give you our thoughts and notes right away. And then the Q&A will be on Monday night like usual. If you missed anything this week, go back and hit the film reviews. They're nice and short. We're trying to keep them a little bit tighter for you guys so you can get that information in and not have spent too much time. But, Dan, thanks for all the work this week. And I know it's hard to get up for, but it'll be fun.
It's not hard to get up for watching the Chiefs offense. I just feel bad for the Jets having to come to this game,
Yeah, I hear you. That's it for us today, folks. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you post-game. Catch you next time. Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. These videos to see more, and subscribe to RGR Football.